right, we're back here with another episode of the Nailing History podcast. I'm your host, Matt. I'm here with John here.
Hey, guys.
John, how's it going?
It's going real well.
I see you're really holding on to that John Tyler bobblehead pretty tightly.
Yeah.
You like that?
It's a great...
Bobbleheads are cool.
They are pretty cool. And
Like,
he's my
they're-
favorite president. So.
Yeah. I mean, bobbleheads are just, like, if you get a nice quality bobblehead, I did see, I think on the website where I bought that, you can actually get custom bobbleheads where they'll actually, like, it's a legit bobblehead of you. It would be really awesome to have one.
That would be cool.
It would be really cool to have a bobblehead of
What would
yourself.
you be wearing? What would you have? Like, what would you dress yourself in?
Maybe a Hawaiian shirt.
Hawaiian
Like
shirt?
like a Tommy Bahama shirt.
Mustache, beard,
Like a
no facial hair.
a Tommy Bahama shirt, button, top 3 or 4 buttons unbuttoned, a little bit of chest hair showing,
Yeah, of course.
shorts, and flip-flops. That's kind of how I'd like to be remembered.
And facial hair?
Maybe facial hair. Like a
What?
beard, like a scruffy beard.
Scruffy beard.
Ray-Bans on.
Nice.
Like Wayfair, like classic Ray-Bans. What about you? What would you wear?
I'm always wearing jeans.
Crocs would be nice, though. But anyway, what would you wear? Jeans? Like skinny jeans?
Yeah, skinniest jeans.
It would be cool
Buttoned-
to have like if your bobblehead was like misproportioned,
jacket.
where like it was all legs, like, you're just like 2/3 of your body height was legs, and then the rest was like a truncated like body.
I've always been told my torso is the longest part. Most of my height's in my torso, so I should have stubbier legs.
So what's your inseam?
Like a 32.
No way.
It's not super long.
Well, you
It's-
wear you
34
You look
at
like you're
most.
getting ready for a flood. Way you wear your pants. It's
I'm always
ridiculous.
pulling them up. I can't get my belt game right. I can't
My
find
sister
the
bought
right
me
spot
my
on
sister.
a belt.
Well, dude, my sister bought me this belt. Here, you want to try my? Here, I'll take it.
Please don't. Please.
Here, try this belt. Dude, try it. It's got like a ratchet to it.
On the air?
Yeah.
Stand by fan.
Yeah, he's putting on the belt. So this is like, I can't give a shout out to the brand because I don't know exactly, but it's like a belt that's like a ratchet. It's ratcheting. So like, well, you're putting it on backwards. That's obvious. Yeah, okay. It's obviously a brown belt. Those are the most feminine jeans I've ever seen. He's wearing like hip hugger, feminine, tight jeans. It's weird.
They're diesel.
They're European. They're European.
Italian, I believe.
Is Italia not part of the UK? Okay, he's got the belt on.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's cool though, right?
Yeah.
You're obviously supposed to go through that slot while you're tightening it, but whatever. There's a little tab. There's a little tab there, like on the top. The tab on the top. The tab on the top. The tab on the top. The lever. Yeah, your thumb's on it. You push it. What are you doing? Whatever. All right, that's good content for the show. So, John, what do you think?
It's a great belt. My hip huggers.
Dude, I remember when we were in high school, we had to wear. It's kind of always reminds me of this, like these kinds of things. My in high school we had to use we had to wear ties, and I was fine at tying ties, but for some reason my mom, I guess, didn't think. You see the lever on the top? You push that out. You just push it out, like towards me. There. And now pull. It'll loosen up. There you go. I guess you have to be older than 10 to know how to do that. Anyway. In high school, we had to wear ties. And I was pretty good at tying a tie. I got good at it. I taught myself on the internet. And I was always a double Windsor guy. I don't know about you. Anyway. For some reason, my mom, I guess, didn't think I was good at tying ties or thought I was lazy or maybe thought it was a good idea. It was probably a nice pitch for her for one Christmas when I think it was in freshman or sophomore year. It was a tie that was a zip. So it was like a clip-on tie, but it actually you could still zip it up and zip it out.
Zip it. Tagline of it?
No, but that's anyway. And so it was a zipper mechanism that would the knot would go up and down like a normal tie would be, but you never had to tie it. You know what I mean? You kind of figuring.
Yeah.
Well, so one day I was probably sophomore year of high school that I was wearing that tie, and I'm a fidgety and I touch everything, and I was always playing with it. And then one day it broke in the middle of the day. So for the whole day I had to walk around with like my tie like hanging because I would have gotten a demerit. It's against the rules if I didn't have a tie on. So I just walked around with like my tie like hanging low, and I got like ridiculed from like our whole class. They're like, well, you're wearing a clip on? How old are you? And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's actually a good point. I do know how to tie my tie. I don't know. My mom thought this was cool. I don't know.
And
you know,
fast forward 20 years and you're wearing
the same type of thing, but on the belt. So
just buy a different. I mean, it's nice. I like the feature. It's
my
cool.
sister bought it for me for Christmas. Probably wouldn't have bought it for myself.
It's a nice looking belt.
It's okay. I wish it was darker brown. Anyway, John's jeans look ridiculous. Anyway, so bobblehead, you'd be wearing jeans, maybe a vest.
Yeah. I like this vest.
They kind of call it that you're
it.
like very Long Island. They call that like a Long Island look. Very Long Island business.
Vest.
Cash. Long
jeans.
Island business. Casual.
Or khakis.
So anyways, welcome back to the podcast. That was a little introduction. That's kind of what we go through on a day-to-day basis when we talk, just so you give a little insight into our madness. All right, John?
It's an understatement.
Yeah. So what we wanted to do, this is kind of our second go at doing a movie review on the podcast. We tried this once.
Same movie.
It's the same movie. We tried it once. We've mentioned this film on podcasts before, and we have a recorded session of us doing this review, but it was very bad. It's a 2-hour-long movie, and I basically spent an hour and 15 minutes talking about the plot.
When we were really trying to focus on the inaccuracies and
it's just kind of
ridiculousness of it because we'd never heard of it before.
I took notes and everything. So anyway, the movie is called titled Revolution, and it stars Al Pacino and Donald Sutherland, and it's about a fur trader from New York, I guess, kind of stumbles upon some revolutionary activity in the ports one day. He didn't really want anything to do with it. We'll get into that a little bit, but stumbles in the ports, and then he kind of gets himself involved in the Revolutionary War. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if this is legal. I hope we don't get a cease and desist. But I'm going to play the trailer. I actually think even though you guys don't have the visual, I'm going to play the audio. I think the audio kind of does it because it really gives you a good idea of how crazy this movie is. And me and John are going to watch it, and I'm just going to play it through. It's 1 minute and 22 seconds.
All these men here, we all fought for something. You take it from us, and we're going to fight again.
He was a common man, forced into war, fighting to protect his son.
Sons go to war because fathers don't. It ain't war!
It ain't his war!
Thank God you're alive.
She was a woman of wealth and privilege, with everything to live for and everything to lose.
You cannot belong to this family and fight on the other side.
They fell in love at a time when the old world was dying and a country was being born.
The freedom in their muskets, boys!
Her voice.
It was the time of revolution. Now, from Irwin Winkler, the producer of Rocky, and Hugh Hudson, the director of Chariots of Fire and Greystoke, comes a story of love and courage. Al Pacino. Revolution, starring Donald Sutherland and Nastasia Kinski.
All right, so I mean, if you guys If you guys really want to see the visual that accompanies that audio, you can just YouTube it, I guess. It's an audio-only podcast. As I explained to John's sister earlier today, I have a face for radio, as they say. So keeping it audio-only for now.
Yeah, and so that movie is directed by the same gentleman who did Chariots of Fire, which I think was an Academy Award winner back in the early 80s.
So this movie came out in 1985.
1985.
Starring Al Pacino as John Dobbs, I think his name is. Something Dobbs.
We'll call him John Dobbs, sure.
Maybe Ted. I don't know. We don't want to do it. If we do enough prep, then it gets to. His name's Dobbs. We'll just call him Dobbs.
Al Dobbs. We can call him Al either way.
So Pacino is like full-on Scarface throughout the whole movie. You could kind of hear a little bit of snippet from that. He's got like a New York accent. He's like, it's not his war. It's not his war. Ooh-ah. And he like shows up. So like he's coming down the boat and like he shows up and these revolutionaries are tearing down this statue of King George in New York City, which we did learn in our, what was that, probably 3 weeks ago, we were at the museum.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Like 3 weeks ago. We were at the Museum of the American Revolution, and they actually did cover them tearing the statue down. So it actually did happen.
And they were far more accurate. The movie shows they showed in the movie July 4th, 1776, so the day the Declaration of Independence was signed.
And they
showed, the movie opens up with them pulling down the statue, and they actually tear it to pieces, and then they throw it into the harbor. But in actual fact, they tore it down and then melted it down into bullets.
Which there is actually like a YouTube comment on the movie, because the movie's available on YouTube for free if anybody who's listening wants to watch.
Or pay for it like Matt did.
I did pay for it. And you can buy it for like $19 or something. I rented it for like $2.99. Anyway, that was actually one of the first comments I saw on YouTube was like, actually, this is not historically accurate, which, I mean, that's a stretch. Like the
could have
whole
been my
thing.
alter ego.
DJ TJ, possibly. So this movie's like just wild, man. I mean, his son, he goes in, they give him some money to get this boat, like for his boat that they jack. And then when Al Pacino goes in to cash it, his son, Ned Dobbs, just signs up for the army. And then Al Pacino comes out and freaks and starts like insulting the colonial officers. He's like, "You're a bastard." The guy's like, "Don't talk to me like that." And Al Pacino's like, "You're a bastard. Now, my son didn't do that on purpose." Like, sorry, his son, like right there.
Tries to give him the money back. He's like, "No, here, take your shillings back.
Yeah.
We don't want it."
And they're like,
"No,
"Nah, it
he's
doesn't
in the
work that
army."
way." Which is like, I got to side with the army on this one. I hate to tell you, Al, or Dobbs, however you want to say. So then he ends up joining the army to like
Stay with his son.
And when they go to give him I remember when I was watching this trailer, remember when they go to give him the 5 shillings that he earned for signing up, he like slaps it out of the guy's hand.
Yeah.
Like real angrily.
He didn't want to be there.
Didn't want to be there.
He's happiest catching fur, trapping furs.
Yeah. He had no interest in the war. And then they like introduce this love story that never really comes to fruition, except like they try to just force it the whole movie. There's no chemistry on set.
Yeah, there's a woman in the trailer. They mention a woman. The lead actress is part of this family who are kind of they're very middle of the road. They'll play whatever side they can. So like the Patriot or the British end up coming and taking over New York, and her family end up siding with them. They kind of lean into being more loyalist. She's like a fervent patriot. For whatever reason, they don't
really explain
why.
That, yeah.
So she kind of gets ostracized by her family, has to leave, and then so she decides to start like feeding the troops and bringing rations to the troops. Her dad is like the commissariat of like the town, like food provisions and whatnot, and she's like, "Give food to the troops."
He's like, "Nah, we're gonna try to hook you up with these 2 freakazoid British soldiers."
Yeah. Really just weirdo. The families were just out for themselves. The family was out for themselves.
That was actually probably pretty realistic.
Yeah.
So that's going on. Then Al and his son are fighting in a war
battle,
and then they end up deserting the army, which is a common thing back in the day.
Yeah. They desert, come back into New York.
Come back to New York. It's occupied by the British at this point.
He's making rope.
And then our female protagonist, I guess you want to call her protagonist, the love interest of the film, as maybe, comes up to Dobbs, Al Pacino, and is like, "What's wrong with you? You deserted?" He's like, "Listen, it's either I got caught or I ran, and I ran." And she like emasculates him and just insults him on the street, and then she just walks away. Which I guess made Al Pacino or Tom Dobbs. Is that his name? I think it was Tom Dobbs.
Tom. Yeah.
Tom Dobbs makes him like love her more because he like just falls in love with this woman for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah.
Son joins a gang called the Mohawks and just insults his dad. Like, this kid deserted the army also, joins this like ragtag team of like misfits that are running through the city causing mischief.
Harassing British officers,
Yeah, and doing
going
all
into
this
their
stuff.
quarters and like stealing things.
And then like Al Pacino's just like,
general shenanigans.
"Listen, you're gonna get yourself killed or worse. I don't want no son of mine's gonna act like that." It's kind of how he talks in the film, just like Scarface.
I get your eats.
And the son's like just insults his dad. He's like, "You're a freaking loser. You bow down to the
Yeah.
British." But this kid deserted the army too.
It's
Ned
yeah.
sucks. It's his son. Ned's the worst.
But anyway, we don't want to bore with all of the plot summary. You can either watch it on YouTube, read on Wikipedia, but the whole scene is it's the absurdity of Al Pacino in a character in a time
it's
period.
just funny. It's like worth watching.
Like putting it into context of like the 80s, like he's coming off The Godfather, he was in Scarface. Like for whatever reason, when they casted the film, they were like, "No, we want you to keep that. Keep that attitude and that perspective and just bring it into the revolutionary America."
I feel like Al was probably like, I don't know, director. I feel like that's not accurate. And they're like,
But I think part of the reason why the movie was so, I'm going to say shite. Peace.
go ahead.
PG.
Was it Donald Sutherland's mole on his face? Because that was the most
got a
disgusting
nasty
thing I've
mole.
ever seen in my life.
A nasty
Donald
mole.
Sutherland's like this British general, and I did look it up. Like, I didn't know if there was a well-known British soldier that had a mole on his face, but there isn't. And I'm telling you, this mole stole the show. This thing was humongous and like was so hairy. But he shaved the rest of his face. This mole,
Didn't shave the
was-
hair from the mole.
like this mole was situated right in the shave area of his face. It's not like it was like up on his cheekbone or anything like that where you wouldn't normally shave. It was right in the meat of the the shave region of the male face,
Lower jaw, cheek.
right on the jaw, and he just let it go, and it was just absolutely disgusting. I don't know if it's painful to shave a mole.
I don't think so. I think the hair grows back thicker if you do. It's one of those deals. Like maybe he just let it go. His mother told him let it go. But yeah, it's gross.
It's
and,
so gross, dude.
but
But anyway, I did cut you off.
No, I was just
The
saying-
reason that the movie was bad.
the movie was bad. And then, yeah, basically
The love story never developed.
love story between Al and this woman never develops.
But they force it.
And then Al, for whatever he ends up back in
Tom Dobbs.
Tom ends up back in the military. He ends up rejoining.
Well, because the Indians who saved Ned's feet after Ned got thrown on the top of a cannon and his feet whipped by Donald Sutherland
Yeah.
to the point where he couldn't walk anymore, the Native Americans that rescued them from the other Native Americans that were
So Oneida. We presume they were Oneida.
So the one thing that we learned a couple of weeks ago at the Museum of the American Revolution is that there were two separate camps in the Iroquois camp, the Iroquois company. Is that what it was? The Iroquois
Confederation, I think.
the Iroquois, the Confederacy, Iroquois. Anyway, so there were two Native Americans hunting these people, hunting Al and his son Ned, who escaped Al broke him out of war prison because he got busted for being a Mohawk in New York, and then they whipped his feet because he wouldn't shine the shoes of another. It was
shine the shoes of Donald Sutherland's commanding officer.
So anyway, Ned gets his feet whipped into oblivion, couldn't walk anymore. But Al saves him, and then these Native Americans come and are fighting him. I don't know. Anyway, these Native Americans save him. We assume it's from the Oneida, who they loved the Americans, hated the British. So I'm rambling.
It's okay.
It just gets me so amped up, this movie. And then
caresses
but then
his
he
son
joins.
for
So
like
then
20 minutes.
So then he's able to join the military again as a spy, or no, as a scout, because the Native Americans, the Oneida clan, I guess. Maybe, I think we were talking in the episodes before about like how the Americans got the Oneida Indians to join their cause as opposed to the British cause, and like maybe it was Tom Dobb. Maybe this guy. Maybe that's what happened. Something of that nature.
Maybe he was fur trapping and just had
He had his son who got his feet whipped, and then the Oneida were like, "We'll join you guys. Join up with you guys."
Well,
They said
they hated the British,
and then Tom just like brings them on down to Valley Forge, and he says, "Hey, Georgie, I got these Native Americans." See, now that would have been a good scene in the film. I got these Indians, and they know what they're doing. They're on our side. And then George is like, okay, whatever you want, Tom. Because Tom was to become a celebrity by the end of the film. Seemed like local celebrity.
Yeah, he just scouted the rest of the film. And basically from there, he just ends up at every big bullet point of the war from Valley Forge onward. So he's at Valley Forge, and then the woman appears again. And
she's like, oh, I learned how to sail.
And then he has fast forward through. But the biggest gaffe, I would say, of the movie, and I think Matt would agree with me here, is just an absurd film. And it's so slow. The pacing's terrible. The character development's not there. It's awful. But anyway, one of the biggest miscaps is, so when Ned is healing and recuperating with the Oneida Indians, they basically fast forward 6-7 months, and then Ned ages 4 years. Like the actor
they recast the character.
8 years. They say 8 months. Okay, and he's like he's like 4 years older,
deeper voice.
But then the crazy thing is, after that, they're in Valley Forge, and he looks way older. And then in the film, they fast forward to Yorktown, which is 4 years after that. And the kid's the same age as the older actor, as opposed to them.
They should have done it then.
They should have just aged him to Yorktown.
I think there was a dispute contractual dispute. Like they ran out of time with the young kid.
I guess Ned's parent, that actor's parents got wind of what his kid was doing. They're like, this movie's going to be trash. We're breaking all contracts. Because it is awful. To put it long story short, Al Pacino didn't act in he took a 4-year hiatus from acting after this movie. I don't have the numbers on me. I think it was however many millions.
It was like it was like $12 million budget or something like that, and it grossed like $300,000.
Yeah.
It was completely panned. It was horrible.
The whole thing was trash. It was
fun. It is funny though. It's it's a shame. Like more people should know about it.
And should know about it. But the whole movie is filmed. Where do you think?
In England.
England.
Yeah, so we just kind of wanted to go through and talk about, I don't know.
It's not great.
Mm-hmm. Neither was this episode of the show.
Well, we hit record and we let it go.
No, we just wanted to keep it short. Wanted to go through that movie a little bit. I don't know if we really did it justice. I think.
Well, it didn't do itself justice.
No, it did not. There was an ending scene where Donald Sutherland's son gets killed.
one of the more absurd parts of it is after the end of the film, he comes back to New York and he tries to, he says goodbye to his son. His son's going to go up to upstate New York to get land. And for whatever reason, Al Pacino's character wants to learn how to read and write. He has an epiphany. He's like, I want to stay in New York. This place looks good for me.
Because he was like a hero. Everybody knew him. Hey, Tom Dobb. Hey.
Except the guy he was trying to recoup that money from. He held on to
he
that
ended
receipt.
up getting. Yeah, he was supposed to
got
get
stiffed.
he was supposed to get $70, I think, and he ended up getting like 45.
Yeah, he got stiffed.
Yeah,
And then he's like, well, what about the land?
Yeah.
The acreage. And they're like, oh, we had to sell it to speculators to fund the war effort. I mean, the writing was on the wall of where the country was going from day one.
It's kind of that happened though.
I know.
Yeah, the army kind of got boned. In reality, the soldiers kind of got boned. Those Continental soldiers, they did it they were in it for the. You could say that they were only in it for the right reasons. They sure weren't in it for the money.
Some of it weren't it for a job. But I think as time progressed through the years, that became
And then
more
Thomas
the case.
Jefferson came through and fired them. So,
Yeah. Aye. But if this podcast sounds as boring as the movie, I mean, we're doing it just. I think we did nail it.
yeah. I mean, there was this guy, this British soldier who talked like a 1920s gangster. Like he's like, hey, see, oh, George Washington, the American dream, not doing too good for you, are ya?
There was a scene where Tom Dobbs was tied to a effigy of George Washington, a doll.
With a guy who looked like Andre the Giant.
And the doll was scented, so these like pack of hounds hunted him down. He had to run, and they were given like a head start, and they were hunted down, and then it was like some fun exercise that these British officers and their ladies they were going horseback, and it was just something to kill time, I think, on the countryside, and they were chasing Tom Dobbs with an effigy of George Washington in tow. And they were just trying to run, and it was just a really weird scene.
And it was so long.
Yeah.
It was like they followed them
Full
running.
setup.
They followed them running for like 10 minutes. They finally catch up to the Andre the Giant like bails, and then the hounds like eat him, and then they come and get Al, and when the dogs finally reach Al, similar to what they did with Ned, they substituted one of the dogs for a Rottweiler, and the Rottweiler was attacking the effigy, which was a pretty funny catch.
Yeah. Movie's full of them for
Mhm.
the cute eye. I mean, we've only named a few. Just not our best, not the best work. And the fact
It's
that
not
it
our
was-
best work, and it's not their best work.
No.
We're kind of matching the podcast with the movie.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I don't think this one's going to get published either. So I don't know how much that really matters.
You don't think so?
I don't know. We're like 3 hours into podcasting today.
3 hours.
I mean, you figure we had 2 hours. We're at 30 minutes on this one.
Really?
Yeah. Time flies when you're talking about Revolution starring Al Pacino and Donald Sutherland. I don't know if we miss anything. Ned was a brat. I couldn't stand him the whole time.
I think we needed to we can edit this part out.
Go ahead.
Like again, we don't need to go on the plot side. It's just like we can if there's something so egregious about it, you just say, look, like we found a movie we never heard of before, swept under the rug
For valid reasons.
Here's
Caused Al
why they
Pacino to
are.
go into...
Watch it on YouTube. For anyone who's listening who's curious, watch it on YouTube if you're to follow along with us. We're not going to do a full on plot summary.
Yeah. No, we didn't. But it's kind
And
of
we'll
hard.
say it was filmed in Britain. It was filmed by a British actor. It was made by a British studio. Like
I know the listeners'
British-made-
heads
it's a-
are spinning right now. They're like, what are these guys talking about?
It's probably what the British public was thinking in 1775.
What do you mean?
Like, what are these colonists doing over there? What are they talking about?
What are they doing over there? See?
They're trying to make an American dream. Huh?
Yeah, about that, George Washington. Yeah. It
Just-
was bad. It was bad. This is bad.
Well, we're here, and we're in person.
We're
This
here
is what we're doing.
just shooting the breeze, talking about Al Pacino and Donald Sutherland's Mole. The Mole really stole the show, I would say.
It was. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean that scene in Valley Forge where she was like, "Yeah, some American colonel taught me how to sail," and like Tom Dobbs was like devastated, like he lost the love of his life. So then he goes up to her and he's like, "Are you gonna marry that guy?" She's like, "Only you, Tom Dobbs, only you." And he like. Then there's a battle at Valley Forge, which never happened.
And then Al Pacino runs after her, thinking he can catch up to a fleeing
two horse-drawn carriage. When he asks, this is how great the writing of this movie is. He asks the woman what the names of their horses are, and she says, "I don't know. This one's fast and this one's faster." Like, they couldn't even think of, like, oh, this one's lightning and this one's thunder or
put
something.
about much thought into their movie and writing some of the scenes as we did.
We did into this podcast.
Prep work we put in.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll put up a poll out. We'll publish this, and then I'll say, hey, do you guys want to hear the hour-long plot synopsis that we did? We'll put it in, we'll live it up to the...
Let the fans decide.
Because, you know, I'll be honest, if in 1985 they released that trailer and then said, is this a movie that we should release? And got a poll from 100 American citizens, they would probably have said no. And would have saved Al Pacino and Donald Sutherland's Mole a lot of...
You think that's what they should do with movies? Film trailers and then just get, like, polling data on, like, hey, would you watch a movie if we were actually to expand on that,
like a Kickstarter
like, rather
campaign?
than like make a full-on movie and then build a trailer for the movie, like do it the other way, to
like a
actually
pilot.
see if it's like worth the time,
like a pilot.
Yeah, but I know sometimes people make trailers. People make trailers specifically to not look like the movie. Sometimes too, that just to sell the movie that they've made. They might know it's not that good.
You know, I was recommending the movie Red Dog to somebody recently.
Really? A great movie.
It made me cry. I never told you when we watched that here.
What?
Yeah, I was like watching it, and I was like really choked up at the end of that, and I just didn't talk because if I would have, you would have seen me like blubbering of being. It was sad, dude. It was a sad ending of that movie. But I was watching the trailer, and the trailer is so bad, and that's what actually, like, on YouTube, the comments were like, "This trailer doesn't do this movie justice at all." It was
We could give a synopsis of that movie, but that could be for another day. Better movie than Revolution.
Better movie than Revolution. Don't let the trailer deceive you.
Follows I don't know what the dog breed is. It's not
a red dog. But it wasn't red. It was just red because of all the red rock dust or soil.
No, it was an Australian breed.
Yeah. Cattle dog. Like a cattle dog.
Similar. I forget the name of it. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. You got anything else to add? Like, share, and subscribe.
Like, share, and subscribe, and
we're gonna lose more viewers. Oh man. Listeners.
I watch it on YouTube, so technically, yeah.
But you also pay for a YouTube subscription.
No ads.
All right, well, that's it. We'll be back next week. Every Thursday, new episode.
And we say bye-bye.